Hello, this is Colin and this video will be about how to operate the CNC. So if you notice to the side, we've got our two computers. This one is the one that we just did the cam on, so we're going to be using this file. And this one's going to be the one running the control software that's going to be commanding the CNC and telling it what to do. So we're going to start by exporting the file and bringing it over to the CNC. So we're going to put in a USB. Then go to this button right here to save the toolpaths. Make sure that everything is selected. And then when that's done, you could hit Save Toolpaths and put it into the USB. There we go. Now you can grab the USB and put it in this computer. So before we open the control software, we first need to turn on the CNC. So this is what it looks like. If you notice, there's going to be 4 motors, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that will move the spindle, which is this thing, up, down, left, and right. This axis will be the y-axis, and this will be the x, and z will be up and down. All of these motors are connected to this control box. So let's turn that on. And then also we got the spindle. This little end mill will spin at thousands of rotations per minute. So let's also turn that on with this box. Make sure to turn them both on. Now that that's done, let's open the control software. So the one we're going to use is called Mark IV, so this icon. And hopefully it should open all right. So let's start off by enabling the machine so that we can move it around. So we're going to hit this green button right here to enable it. And now we should be able to jog the machine with the arrow keys. So use the 4 arrow keys up, down, left, and right to move it in the corresponding direction. To move the spindle up and down, use the page up and page down buttons, but be careful not to move it down all the way into the part. So when you first turn on the machine, the first thing to do is to home the machine so it'll know where it is exactly by moving it to the very corner of each axis. So to do so, let's hit home XYZ. And now we see it'll home the Z until it touches this blue limit switch. This is the sensor that'll detect when it hits the edge, and it does something with like magnetic field, so it doesn't actually make contact. Okay. Now that that's done, let's go import the file. So we're going to go to File, open G-code, go to the USB, and let's open that. And you should see it show up. The next thing to do is we're going to work on setting up the material. Let's go jog this all the way to the back so we have some space to work on it. We're only going to do these 2 pieces that are marked in the purple. So we're only going to be using one small corner. So I'm just going to rotate this and use this corner of the part. Let me first blow the chips off so that this metal can sit on the sheet completely flat. And finally we're going to screw it down with these screws. This already has holes in the corners, but if they weren't there, you're going to drill out like so. What can also be helpful is if you drill like one hole in the center area When it's just held down in the corner, sometimes the middle will pop up, which will kind of create a lump in the middle, and that's bad because then the height of the metal won't be even. So I'm going to drill a hole next to all this used material. Now that that's done, we're going to switch to the driver bit and drill in a screw in each of the holes. If you're using a piece of metal that's already been used, you can put some screws on the edges of past cuts, just so that it will hold down the metal even more securely. There. And there. Just be careful that whatever screws you place won't interfere with the cut. The next thing to do is to set the 0 point. So we're going to tell the machine that the corner of the metal is right here. To do that, we're going to jog the machine over to that corner. And then we're going to hit 0x and 0y. So now wherever we go, if you click go to work XY0, it'll go back to this point. So now that we have that set up, we're going to click regenerate toolpath so that the parrot will be moved to the new 0 point that we set. These green lines, by the way, are what's going to be cut. If you jog the machine, you'll notice that this red crosshair is where the spindle is. So we can check, like we can move the parrot all the way to this corner and make sure it's on the material. Yep, that looks like it's on the material. And let's check all the corners. Like this one as well. So we'll notice that this is kind of off the parrot. And even if it was on it, it would probably end up cutting through the screw, which would be bad. So let's fix this by just changing the 0 point to be right next to the screw. Now we're going to 0 the X and Y again and hit regenerate toolpath. There we go. So now the entire part should be on the machine nicely. When we did 0x and 0y, that was for the x and y axes before, but we also need to do the z dimension. So the CNC will know at what height the surface of the parrot is. To do so, we're going to grab this Z-touch plate. We're going to put it on the metal in the place we're going to cut, and we're going to attach a magnet right here. Then we're going to jog the machine over this plate, and then we're going to do auto Z touch plate. This will basically move the spindle down until the top of the spindle will touch this, which will complete the connection. And it'll detect when it completes the connection by when this button turns blue. Okay, so let's hit auto Z touch plate and then click the button in the middle. So this would move until it hits the thing and then it'll stop. So that's done, and I think that's it. We're all set up. Before we start the part, we have to always go back to the work XY0. Here we go. And I think we're ready. Let's make sure to grab ear protection. And then we're gonna hit cycle start G code, this green button. again. Well, now it expects a tool change, so the machine will stop automatically. Let's jog the machine to the side. And we're gonna drill in some screws. I like to put at least like 3 or 4, maybe 5 screws in each part if possible, just because that makes sure it's like really well held down. You could technically do it with 2, but the part can get loose easily. These screws have quite a big head, and if you're worried that the end mill will collide with the screw, then you could just get the circle and create a circle over this spot, and if the hole isn't over anything, then you're good. Okay, we got our screws in. We have 2 parts, so we have 3 screws in each of them. Now's a good time to explain the e-stop. This is it. When you click it, this is like the emergency button, so it'll stop all the machine's movement. So if I'm jogging the machine, then you just click the button, it'll instantly stop. It won't let you enable again until you clear the e-stop, which you'll do by getting the button and turning it clockwise. So the button popped back out, so now I can re-enable the machine. So now that this is done, I think it's time to do the last pass. Before starting it, make sure to go to work XY0. And now I can just hit cycle start G code. Once you're done with the part, the edges will be very sharp, so be careful when you remove it. Grab a deburrer and run it along the edges.